This coffee's so good. This coffee's so good. It's like half regular coffee and half like this strange pecan pie coffee that I found, and it's just amazing. Anyhow, hello there. I didn't see you there. Welcome back to Max's Writing Advice Q&A. In tonight's episode, I have a selection of questions sent by viewers just like you, and pick through a random number generator. Every week, questions sent by viewers like you, which by the way you can leave in the comments down below, are picked randomly. I think it's the fairest way, and I answer them on this show. I was gonna say live, but this is actually not live. It's live for me, but not really live for you. Hello there, people from the future. Mark that off the Max Bingo table. Before I go on anywhere, allow me to give you the formal disclaimer, as always, and remind you that the following is merely just my advice, my opinion, and what works for me. Don't take it as gospel, instead take it as the ramblings of a silly person who's been drinking coffee for like 6 hours now. And I'm not jumpy at all. Absolutely not. Whoa. Crazy eyes. 3 questions, 3 minutes a pop. Let's take it from the top. The first question goes a little bit like this. You see, I have a story idea that I want to write, but it demands a second protagonist, which, while it isn't unheard of, most story structure guides / writing craft gurus only focus on singular protagonist stories. These characters are very tightly linked, and they're constantly feeding off one another for the bulk of the story without any real interaction. I know that this has been done before, The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern being the best example I can think of on the top of my head. But I am wondering if you have any tips on how to pull this off. I am worried that readers will stop caring about one protagonist over the other, or that I will not be able to structure the story properly to incorporate both characters' arcs without it feeling rushed or redundant. Any feedback would be appreciated. I like where it is coming from. I understand the reason why you feel this way. So let's turn on the timer. I'm so professional. Where's the timer? Timer, show up. There you go. All right, let's go. Primary piece of advice, the point from which I will start, is that I want to, because it seems to me in the way that you describe the question that you're coming in with a vision, with an idea. You know what you want to do. Now, why is this important? Well, when you come in with a plan like this, or with the sort of feeling of like you want these two intertwined stories that don't actually interact with one another, you know what you want to do. You have your plan. So I think honestly what you need to do is just sit down and write it. Push forward, push through these fears. I know that it sucks, and I know that me telling you this is not very helpful, so let me build up on this. These concerns are understandable. You know, you worry about what other people are gonna think of your work, and that's okay. But what I want you to remind you is that what you write first is not the final product. Writing is a great medium for creating stories because you don't have to get it right the first time. Revision is your friend. Write the story. Write it as it comes to you, without hesitation, without fear, without doubt, and then revise it. Look back on it and see if you actually nailed your vision, if you made it work, and if not, fix it. Seriously. A bunch of questions that I get tend to deal with this issue of like, I want the story to be like this, but not like this, or I want to do this, but I'm afraid it won't work out. You can make it work out. Your first draft is probably not gonna be very good, and that's okay, because it doesn't have to be good. A first draft just need to be one thing: written. So, write the story. Write it as it comes to you, and then, as I've said in the past, through the amazing act of revision, give it form. There is this implication that like, if you didn't get it right the first time, you're somehow like lesser of a writer, and this of course like I don't want to say it's wrong because it's a point of view. I disagree with it. Every book that you like, every book that has made an impact on you, every one of those novels was revised grandiosely. First drafts are terrible. The first drafts of everyone's first drafts suck, and yours will too, and that's okay. Why? Because through revision you will make it work. It is entirely likely that you will finish the story and you will realize that, yeah, it's a little bit unbalanced, or yeah, no, this particular plot thread in one story doesn't actually affect that much in the other. But you know what? It's entirely okay, because you can revise it. Whenever you feel in doubt regarding things such as you want the story to be one way, but you're afraid of how people will react, or you're afraid that people won't like it, don't be afraid. Be empowered, because you are working in one of the few mediums. When you have the power to write it, and then plenty of time to fix it, look at it, analyze it, make sure that it works, make sure that it's polished to a mirror sheen, and then you can share it with the world, and everyone will think that you nailed it right the first time. Which is of course mega untrue, but you know what? It's fine. Let them think that you nailed it right the first time. Question the second goes a little bit like this. Pretty heavy question, maybe too heavy for comfort, but I've actually given up on writing to focus more on my visual art and other things that I really am more passionate about. However, the main reason why I actually gave up writing fiction prose, as opposed to some other forms that I can actually complete works in, is because I cannot resolve conflict. I am really good at coming up with concepts and writing characters and backgrounds and settings and all of that. But these things mean nothing if I don't have a complete story to tell. Is this a unique problem, or is this what people call the writer's block? And how can I make myself make things come to a close if I don't want to rely on co-writers for all of my projects? Oh man, this is a really good central question for the video, the anchor, from which we will move on forward. 3 minutes on the clock, get set, go. Who told you that? Who told you that you cannot resolve conflict? Who told you that? Who told you that you can't do that? And who told you that not doing that is what makes you not be a good writer, or not be able to create fiction or complete fiction? You weren't born innately with this knowledge. You didn't just wake up one day and thought, you know what, I can't resolve conflict. That's why writing is so tough for me. Like, I'm gonna do that thing where I take a leap of logic, and if this is wrong, I apologize. But I have come in contact with people who feel this way in the past, and most of them were working under a bunch of assumptions that were given to them and taught by them by people in their youth, most generally English teachers. I don't hate all English teachers, just some of them. And real talk, like I can sense it. I can sense the I'm going through my list of like terrible synonyms. The side effects of the hero's journey. I can feel it right here. I can feel someone somewhere taught you the hero's journey as the rules for writing, and we're gonna talk about that a little bit more. This is gonna be a long answer, but you know what? It's gonna be fine. Before I go on anywhere, I want to take a moment to say that the hero's journey is completely okay for analyzing fiction. It has nothing to do with the act of storytelling, and I will fight you for it. But anyhow, let's move on forward. Conflicting, combat-like, ready to fight, that's me. Anyhow, I am very passionate about this subject, mostly because I find that a lot of young writers get really stuck on filling up all of the ideas and go through all the checklists of the things that were taught to them. And those very same things were the things that made writing unfun for me. This whole idea that I needed an oracle, and I needed a rise of action, and I needed something bad to happen to my character around chapter 3 or 4 to follow up on this concept, this set of rules, these guidelines that were made for me, and that made writing unfun. The next 10 seconds are going to involve mature language, not fit for young audiences, so feel free to just cover your ears until the color returns. Max from the future, just have this fade to grayscale while I swear. A story doesn't need jack shit. Allow me to say this one more time. A story doesn't need jack shit. A story doesn't need to resolve conflict. A story doesn't need a complex background. A story does not need anything. There are exceptions to every single rule that anyone can tell you. And that is why at the beginning of every video I say that what I tell you here are not rules, no gospel, just my opinion, my recommendation, how I feel about it. It's a little bit outrageous to come into writing with rules. You must do this. There must be a conflict that is resolved in your story. And someone out there's gonna be like, Max, are you telling people that their story shouldn't have resolution within their conflict? No, I'm saying that whoever told this person to do it like this gave them a set of requirements and rules, and that's not part of writing. Let's focus for a minute. Characters and backgrounds and settings mean nothing without a complete story to tell. What does this mean? Because I'm gonna tell you my own recommendation on how I feel about it. I like slice of life. Slice of life, particularly slice of life anime, has seldom any sort of resolution. But I enjoy it because I enjoy the characters. Characters are the anchor to the things that I enjoy in storytelling. If you have seen my previous videos, if you have seen my vlogs, you know what I'm talking about. I love characters. To me, to what I am looking for in a story, if you give me a character that I like, a character that I can enjoy, I will follow you to the ends of the earth. I've also said in the past that, like, I don't care how cool your setting is. If I don't care about the characters, I ultimately don't care about the setting. Now, what does this mean to you? It means that everyone is looking for something else in story, something differently, and someone out there told you, hey, you have to have this. There must be a complete resolution to a conflict arc in the story, or otherwise it's not a story. Or otherwise it's not worth it. Or otherwise you're not a good writer. Or otherwise it's not worth anybody's time or trouble. And I'm not saying that is true, and I'm not saying that, like, the opposite is absolutely untrue either. What I'm saying is that they told you their opinion, and you can disarm that, and you can change it, and you can tell whatever stories you want. What I would like to urge you to do, for my recommendation, is to focus on character. But that's just my recommendation. How about if instead of just, me telling you what I do, and hopefully that will fix your problems, find your own solution. Remember that there are no rules to writing, just recommendations. I recommend people stick to characters because I love characters in story. Characters are the thing that drive me to do things, and I love a good character. I love a character, and by that I don't mean a good person, I mean just an interesting person. And ultimately, how about you inspect the stories that you enjoy, the stories that you consume. What do you like about them? What excites you to create stories like those, like them? And hold on to that like a lifesaver, and just swim as far as you can, as far away from all this wreckage of rules and guidelines that people have given you over the past. Just tell stories. Just have fun, honestly. And if you find that, maybe, just maybe, the act of storytelling is not really that fun for you, that's okay too. Maybe you just like to make more visual art. That's fine as well. Telling story through the visual medium of art is as valid as anything else. Ultimately, though, have fun. Enjoy what you do. Because ultimately, if you're not doing that, then, what are we really doing here? And I know that this may seem like a little wishy-washy, and, I guess it kind of is. Find your own answer. But I want to be the one person who stands here and tells you, hey, all of those people that told you all those things throughout your youth, it's entirely likely, almost certain, that they are wrong, or not correct, which are not actually the entirely same thing. You can find your own way. But anyhow, I've gone on way too long with this question. Disarm what people have told you, and look at what you like to do about stories, like the thing that excites you the most, and just do it. I'm not saying that your stories don't have resolution to conflict, because I find that resolution to conflict is such a natural element of storytelling. Things happen as a result of those things happening, and things continue on to be happening. Even in things like Seinfeld, which is one of my favorite sitcoms, and it's hailed as being a show about nothing, is still things happen, and things happen as a result of those things happening. It's almost as natural as, like, the laws of physics. So the idea that, like, a story has no resolution seems to me a little faulty, or a little, like, misguided, because I feel that, like, as long as things are happening, and things happen in a series of events, I don't know, I feel like I'm rambling. But, because, like, I look at the question, I look at the problem, and I'm like, this doesn't feel like a problem. It feels like someone told you that you can't do this, and you internalized it, and you have now been forced to find solutions to this internalized problem that may or may not be a problem. Analyze it, look within yourself, and seek to find a solution that works just for you. I can only show you my own point of view, and if I had to offer my point of view in this case, focus on character. Hold on to someone that you like, and just follow their point of view. That's what I think. Question number 3. Man, we went really long on question number 2, so let's charge through. Question number 3 goes a little bit like this. I have a question. I have been stuck 2 years on the same story. The worst thing is that I want to write, but I can't seem to stop planning and plotting the story. I even have a whole notebook written about all the world building, and another for the characters, and another one for the plot. I always go deeper and deeper into details. I really can't seem to focus on the writing of the story. How do you keep your focus on the writing more than the plotting? When do you think, that's enough, let's start writing? Please help, I'm stuck. This is familiar territory. We have been here. I've been here recently. Let's take it from the top. I can relate to this question. As I mentioned in the past, I used to deal with this very personally because I was taught in the old package of rules and guidelines that was given to me by my English teachers in high school, and the first class I took in college, which wasn't very good. I was taught that, like, planning was at the center of everything, and you needed to plan things, or otherwise you wouldn't know what to happen, or what needed to happen, or you just wouldn't know, and things wouldn't work out, and it would just be a mess. And I would plan and plan and plan and plan, and this would also get fed into my fear of writing, why did it happen like this? Well, because plotting feels like work, but it's not writing. And if you're a procrastinator like I was, you're tricking yourself, because it's like, well, I'm working on the story, but I'm not doing the scary thing, which is writing, so it's kind of okay, right? It's 50-50, it kind of counts. It's a C, 75%, I can live off of that, it's fine. But it's not fine, as I talked in my origin video a long time ago. Was that a year ago? No way. I think it might have been a year ago that I made that video. I may have to do a rehash of that, actually. I made a video with my origin story, and I talked that when I was at my lowest, I had to disarm all of these things that were keeping me from writing books, because let me tell you something. And this is gonna be really sad, and this is gonna be really dark, but we're gonna go there because you have to tread dangerous waters to emerge into safety. If you don't stop yourself from over-planning, if you don't jump into the page and start writing, you are never going to finish this book. This is fact. The book is not gonna get it finished by itself. The book is not gonna write itself. And I know that sounds really obvious, but when you're procrastinating and when you're in denial like I was, that realization hits you like an arrow through the goddamn chest. Because you go from like, this feels like work, it's alright, you know, it's a 50-50, to, I'm never gonna get anything. I'm never gonna get anywhere if I keep on with this attitude. So you have to go out and start writing. Is it terrifying? Is it scary? Of course it is. It always is. But what inspired me in the past is to read the words of my favorite writers, people that I looked up to, people that I thought were better because they were just born better, or good things happened to them, and or they just rolled the good dice rolls and they got all the good stats and I don't. And that's an absolute freaking lie. I always like to go back to Gabriel Garcia Marquez, author of 100 Years of Solitude, Love in the Time of Cholera. Did he do that? I hope he did that, because I've been saying that forever. But he said in a famous quote that every time I sit down at the typewriter, I am terrified. And that is normal. Being afraid of writing is absolutely normal, but you can't keep evading it. You can't keep ignoring it and procrastinating, because if you keep doing that, you are never, ever going to finish that book. Now, if someone out there is planning, and you're doing a little bit of planning, and maybe a little bit more to be confident with the story, that's fine. I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about just continuing to build on expectations of the story because it feels like you're working on it. And it's not the scary thing that is writing. Honestly, as I've said in the past, when I do my brainstorming process, I basically do one thing. I write down all of the big questions that I have, all the big questions that I can imagine. I seek to answer them, so I have basic knowledge of like, I think this character came from here, and I think this happened to them, maybe. That's literally how I phrase my answers to those questions, because I could be wrong, and I generally am. And once I have enough, once I make myself like a raft, not a boat, not a yacht, a raft, I set myself off into those dangerous waters, because again, remember, the first draft of your story doesn't matter. You can fix it all later, you can wrap up all those details later, you can make sure that the entire plot of the story makes more sense and it's more polished later. All of these worries are worries that we put up on ourselves, and I know, because I was doing that to procrastinate. Oh man, like 6 years ago, I would just procrastinate by brainstorming because it felt like work. So, dear writerly friend dealing with this, I know that I'm not giving you the most comfortable advice. Go out there and do it! It's not exactly the most effective advice when, you're afraid of writing or you're worried and you want to write, but the struggle against the blank page is always there and always too daunting. Jump in. As I said in question number 1, you don't have to get it right. You got the space. Seriously, step back. Prepare yourself mentally. You don't have to know all the answers. It's okay to not know. Jump in and do it. Because otherwise, this story's never gonna get finished. So, pick up your pen, put your fingers on that keyboard and get writing. And that's about it for today's video. That was a nice little ending segment. For the time being, though, I want to thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed my particular point of view, or I hope that if anything, I gave you my own point of view. Slightly botched, but it's fine. Remember, as always, that if you would like to send your own questions, please leave them down in the comments below. But anyway, I gotta get going. I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for spending a little bit of your day with me. And I'll see you on the next one.